As parents, one of the biggest decisions we make is where and how our kids will go to school. It shapes their friendships, beliefs, and worldview. And let's face it, it's totally overwhelming. Public, private, homeschool, the choices are endless. That's why Christian Parenting created the School Simplified Digital Guide. It's packed with insightful articles, podcasts, and videos. It's a free resource that helps you make confident, faith-filled decisions about your child's schooling. You don't have to figure this one out alone. God is with you, and so is Christian Parenting. Head to the Christian Parenting store to grab your free copy of School Simplified, and let's simplify school decisions together. That's christianparenting.org to get your free School Simplified digital guide. As Christian parents, we all want to be praying for our kids, but knowing what to pray can really be hard. That's why Christian Parenting created a great cloud of witnesses prayer journal. It's to help busy parents like you and me intentionally pray for our kids and their faith all year long. This weekly journal walks through the lives of faithful men and women in Scripture like Abraham, Sarah, Moses, Rahab, who trusted an extraordinary God. It helps you to pray boldly for your kids, to follow in their footsteps, grow in character, deepen their faith, and trust God's plan. And every Monday on this podcast right here on Pardon the Mess, I will be praying with you through this very journal. So grab a group of your friends, your mom friends, and y'all commit to this school year praying for your kids. Visit cpgive.org and use code CLOUD to get your special podcast listener discount. That's cpgive.org, code CLOUD. As a mom of high school daughters, I'm always on the lookout for meaningful gifts that help my girls grow in their faith, and Mr. Pen is full of them. Their Bible journaling kits are so cute and totally teen approved. They've got no-bleed Bible pens and highlighters that actually work on those super thin Bible pages. They have adorable Bible tabs, beautiful journals, and even stylish journaling Bibles. My girls have both been using Mr. Pen highlighters for several years in their Bible time, and they're also a fantastic gift that we go to as we're trying to treat and delight some of their friends on their birthdays. It's a company, Mr. Pen is a company that started by Christian teachers in Louisiana with over 100,000 five-star reviews on Amazon. So you know the quality is top-notch. And if you don't love something, they'll actually give you your money back, no questions asked. Shop the best Bible journaling supplies on the market and fantastic gifts for the ladies in your life at mrpen.com. That's MRPEN.com. And guess what? Our audience gets a special discount. So use code MESS10, that's code MESS10 at checkout to get 10% off your entire order. Hey friends, welcome back to Pardon the Mess. I'm your host, Courtney DeFeo, and you guys are in for a treat today. I wrangled these girls over to my house. They are friends of mine. I'm friends with their parents. They went to my girls' school, and they're just a year ahead of Ella. All three of these girls on the podcast today are rising college sophomores, and I wanted to have them over at my actual house, which I did, and I gathered a bunch of college freshmen, a lot of them from my small group at church, Ella and her friends, and I just thought it would be fun for them to sit around and just share advice, like what dorm tips, what's something they have to have, or what study tips, and how did you keep your faith a priority? And they did such an amazing job at my house that I was like, hey, I don't know if you've ever done a podcast, but would you be willing to do a podcast? And they said yes. And so I just am so thankful for Camryn and Lucy and Caroline for being willing to do something new. And this isn't just, again, in their wheelhouse, but they did amazing. And as you'll hear, like they have so many practical tips to share, but also just profound things about what we talk about on this podcast. Like, how do we keep faith a priority in our families and our kids' lives? And I think it will be really helpful if you've got little kids to hear what resonated with them as they look back as college sophomores. What did their moms do that mattered? What did their parents do that mattered? And then how are they making it a priority and making a choice in college to keep their faith going? So if you have got a college freshman or any college kid or any high school kid, I would suggest that you share this episode with them. And again, I'm just so thankful to Caroline, Camryn, and Lucy. You guys did such a great job, and I know folks will enjoy this. Here we go. Hey, girls, welcome to Part of the Mess. How are you guys?
So good.
Good. Okay, so this is going to be hard because y'all are going to be like, who is talking? So on YouTube, y'all can see their adorable faces. But on this audio version, you'll be able to hear three girls that I love so much, and we'll go in order alphabetically. So when I ask a question, we'll do Camryn, Caroline, and then Lucy, and hopefully we'll get through this. But as I explained in the intro, I just loved, they came over to my house and ministered to about 20, I think, who knows how many were there, girls that are freshmen. And I just was blown away by y'all's, I don't know, the way you prepared, but the way you really sought the Lord on your answers. It could tell that y'all didn't just flippantly like throw out something. And so we're going to do some super practical stuff up front, and then we'll get to what God is doing in your life. So thank you for being here.
Of course.
All right. Y'all ready? Okay, Camryn, what's a few must-haves for the dorm? What do they need?
I think the main one that comes to mind is like a charging block, because you'll just need so many plugins, like just random things that you need to plug in. So that was my main thing that like I would recommend.
I love it. And it's not like there's 5 outlets. Like in a dorm room, there's maybe 2. Right. And so you're stretching longer, right? Do you think 10 foot, 6 foot, something like that?
Yeah. I mean, I think the longer the better, because it helps to like have more like length there.
Okay. So, TikTok told me that we need the one that's like a block that goes up, like a tower. Yeah. Is that right?
That's what I had. It's like a tower. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Ella's like, Mom, why are you all over TikTok? I'm like, I don't know. They're feeding me content, and I've bought half of Amazon.
Yeah. It's very helpful.
Helps. Yes. And they'll have links too, so it makes it even easier.
I love it. I love it. Okay. Caroline, what do you think?
Well, I would probably say an LED mirror for your desk, like one of the small ones, just because as you're getting ready, it's helpful, since if you're in a dorm or something, it's easy to like just get ready at your desk.
Yeah.
And then second, I would say a large trash can. I think that's something that's often overlooked, because you just think you have your cute little one by your desk, and that just won't work because you'll have a lot of things, just Starbucks and all those things. Right. And so it's just nice to have a big trash can, I would say.
And one with a lid, I imagine. You're like, no stink nation. Okay, perfect. Lucy, what do you say?
I think my biggest thing was having a bunch of chargers as well as a charging block, but also ones that you can take in your backpack.
Ooh.
I was always losing them, and it's not great when you get back to your dorm at night and then you lost your charger. Oh. So that, and I also think a steamer is really important to have. I use that a lot, and a lot of different types of medicine.
Yes. Because one of the things you said,
yes,
you're not, because you're like, oh, you can go to CVS, but if you're laying in the bed, you don't feel like going to CVS.
Right, exactly.
Okay. Camryn, I think you gave Ella her steamer, so we've got it packed up and ready to go.
Yes, I used it like all the time. So I think it's the same one that I had. And so it should be super
I love it.
helpful.
And Lucy, you gave Ella the most brilliant gift. It's like a blanket that you can picnic on or go study. And it was I would never have thought of that. I might be stealing that for my gifts this year.
Do it. It was awesome.
So we cute.
It's the best. It's something that like you don't realize will come in handy, and then it does. Like, and I had a picnic blanket like that, and I used it all the time.
It's so great. So, and it packs easy because it's just in that little bag. So love it. Okay. Study tips. You guys actually go to class. That would be my first one, because I didn't go to class. I'm like, brilliant idea. I go to class. What else you got, Camryn?
Yeah. My main one was just not procrastinating and like getting ahead of it. If I had a test, I would start studying like typically like a few days, like even if it was a harder subject, a week in advance, just so that I could like break it down day by day. Mm-hmm. And the content that you have on tests is just like bigger in college than it is in high school. And so just having days to like break it down, so it's not this big overwhelming tons of content, you can kind of break it down. That was my like main study tip.
Maybe that was my problem. I'm like cramming the night before, like, I don't remember this. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I think I told y'all I made a 1.7, folks, a 1.7, and got on immediate probation with FIMU my first semester. And my dad was like, hey, I love that you're the president of every club there and you're real good friends with the fraternity people, but you need to go to class. So I don't recommend my plan. Everyone listen to what these girls have to say, because they got higher than a 1.7. I'm sure. Caroline, okay, study tip.
I would say that the teachers, some of them, I know we talked about this a little bit, that their like study hours and stuff, especially for the bigger classes, are super helpful. Obviously, some of the minor ones aren't as important to go to those, but bio, and I know there's some business ones that you'll have too.
Yeah,
I would say it's helpful just to get extra help, especially if they're with students that like just took the class. I found those super helpful. And then also, Camryn said, I can't say that enough, is don't procrastinate. You cannot procrastinate in college. And I think just making yourself like a plan for the weeks before your test is really helpful. So you know exactly when you're studying, so you can't be like, get to that day and be like, I don't want to study, because it's, no, I'm studying this chapter today. and then moving on the next day.
Yes. I'm realizing I didn't introduce you guys. I mean, I did in the intro, but go through your majors real quick. Camryn, what's your major?
I'm an accounting major.
Okay, at Auburn. Accounting at Auburn. Okay, yes, Caroline, major in school.
I'm a public health major at A&M.
Okay, and Lucy?
I'm a finance major at Auburn.
Okay. See, y'all, I'm really good at this. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot to introduce you. Amazing. Okay, Lucy, what are your study tips?
I would say anticipate the struggle because by the time you're struggling, it's often too late.
Yeah.
So I kind of learned that the hard way first semester, but second semester, I was able, when I knew I had a hard class, to kind of just get ahead of the struggle. So book a tutor before you think you need it.
That's good.
Especially if it's a class that mine was accounting and that one was a difficult one for me. So just kind of using my resources and getting ahead of it before it piled up was
so good. And Lucy, one thing you said at my house, I think it was you, that know yourself. I am super extroverted. And if I studied with anybody, we would get 0% done. So was that part of it too? Figuring out who you could study with and who you couldn't?
Yes. I am not good at studying with other people and I try to force it, but it just doesn't work. So it's important to know yourself and know your study habits and don't say yes to studying with someone when you know it's not going to work for you.
I have a strong ADHD and I'm like, if I went to a coffee place, you're like, hey, what's your name? What's your major? I'm just getting to know the world and studying 0%.
Exactly. Yes.
Amazing. Okay, so let's talk about Rush. All three of you did Rush and did pledge. And there's probably a lot of girls when this airs that probably already through it or in the middle of it. So this may not be as helpful, but other people could listen. So what did you guys, just any tips about Rush that you would give the girls?
Yeah, I would say, first of all, just trusting the Lord in the process. It is a very broken process and it's hard, but trusting that the Lord has a place for you and trusting that He knows exactly what sorority you're going to end up in and He already knows it. And so just trusting in the fact that He is the one orchestrating the plan. And it's not up to us. It's not up to the sororities. It's up to the Lord. And so just trusting in that. And then also being able to anticipate that you're probably going to be disappointed at some point. And it's hard, but that's also part of the system. And so, when you face disappointment at some point, whether that's early or maybe later in the Rush process, just trusting that if the Lord is closing a door, He's closing it for a reason. And even though it can be disappointing, there is purpose behind whatever door He chose to close.
Yeah. That was one of the takeaways. Ella, I'd asked her about all the things that y'all said. And she was like, I really needed to hear the disappointment word. Cause she was like, no matter how you slice it, she was like, a majority of people get disappointed whether someone drops you or, at some point in the week. And, she needed to hear that. And so I think that's huge because I think when you're dropped by somebody, you assume you're the only one, everybody else is crushing Rush. But no matter how your Rush goes, you're disappointed at some levels. That's huge.
Absolutely.
Caroline, what would you say?
I would say something that I know this is kind of cliche, but and you'll hear it a lot, but it's so, so, so true, is to really be yourself during the process. Because if you're just not, if you're talking to these girls and you're acting like someone you're not, then you're not going to end up where you're going to fit in the most.
Yeah.
So I think just a good rule of thumb to think as you're talking to these girls during the process is that if you're changing the way you talk or the way you act to match this other girl, then that's probably not a great fit for you. So I think that's just a hard truth that's I had to learn really quickly.
Yeah. So good.
It's hard, but it's just something that's so true that you just want to, if you want to truly end up where you fit in the best, you really need to just put your best foot forward and just know that you just need to truly be yourself.
Yeah. I think I told y'all that day that a friend of mine pledged a sorority at Baylor and she had in her head who was the top one. And so she was that was her goal. And she completely changed who she was and just made that the goal. And then she said she got in it and was like, shoot, they think I'm somebody I'm not, and I don't fit in. And so that was her exact tip for Ella. It's that sounds fun to get that one, but it's and then you're oh shoot, these are not my people. So huge. And as you were talking, I was I could see someone being super Southern at Auburn and be wait, you're from New York? You just faked a different accent? What is that?
Right.
Okay, Lucy, what you got?
I would say my biggest thing was not making a decision from a place of fear, and specifically fear of disappointing people and fear of missing out or not fitting in. I just think that fear can sometimes be a really bad counselor.
Yeah.
And it can just lie to us, and it shouldn't sit at the table when you're making your choice for a sorority. But for me, it was really helpful to choose where I felt free and not pressure, like Helen was saying, to change myself. And then another thing that I really tried to do during rush was to pray expectantly instead of anxiously. And it's normal and it's okay to want a certain outcome. I think everyone does, but it's also equally as important to give it back to the Lord every day and just say, Lord, I trust you with this decision. And if you're closing a door, you're closing it for a reason, and just may you close it gently, and that was kind of something that I really leaned on.
Rush. You're like, Lord, may I not get dropped by 17 of the 18 on the first day in Jesus' name. Okay, I love the expectant because I think that's there's all kinds of anxiety. So pray expectantly is great. And I imagine the fear comes and this is just one scenario, but you get down to 2 or 3 and you've gotten really tight with these girls. And so the thought of letting someone down or fearing that they're going to hate you can shift that decision when it's there's one of those things in life where you're like, I'm going to do the best thing for me, which is hard if you're a people pleaser and you want everybody to be happy. Huge advice. All right, let's jump into what are some ways to keep your faith alive in college. Y'all all 3 went to the Christian school. My kids did, but in big schools, you have a lot of options. So Camryn.
Yeah. I would say one thing that's huge is community and just finding people that are going to push you to be stronger in your faith and people that are going to keep you accountable in your faith. We kind of talked about this, but in college, your friends become your family. You're away from your family. And if you think about the influence that your family has over you, your friends are that important in college because they are who you're going to spend a lot of your time with. And so, finding community that is going to encourage your walk with the Lord and push you closer to the Lord, just in everything, in the really hard times in college and also in the really joyful times in college. And then also just the importance of intentional time with the Lord, I think is just so important. And it just fosters that relationship with the Lord. And I think it's college, it gets really busy, but just always spending that intentional time with the Lord and just, that's so important.
Love it. Love it. Caroline?
Yeah, I would say bouncing off the intentional effort, just making sure you're being intentional with your friendships and the ones you're pouring into, because those friendships are the ones that are so important for encouraging you. But then bouncing off of that, also saying that yes, these people are so important to surround yourself with and encourage you, but you also have to remember that your faith is your own. So that's something that you have to just take control of, and it has to be a commitment that you make with yourself. And it's helpful to have people to keep you accountable and to be checking in with you, but you have to remember that your faith isn't your friend's faith, it's your own. So when you're going to church, it's not to go with your friends, it's a choice that you're making. And
I think it's not your parents too. It's and I think all 3 of you have said it is a choice that you're going to decide which way you're going to go stronger or lean in closer to the Lord or let it drift. And I completely let my faith drift. And I have, and God loves me and brought me back and used me in all kinds of ways. But I feel the mistakes and the wounds I have are pretty deep because I went the wrong way. And so I love that y'all are saying it's a choice. I love that you're saying you surround yourself with people that are also with that goal. And then owning it for yourself. But I cut you off, Caroline. What were you about to say?
Oh, no, I was just bouncing off that, saying that you can also set realistic expectations for yourself.
Yeah.
Because if you have, and I was talking about this, if you scheduled all 8 a.m., so that was all that was available, but you're not a morning person, don't set yourself up saying, I'm going to do quiet time in the morning before my 8 a.m. because that's not realistic.
Okay.
So I think just setting yourself up for success and making a plan before you go to college, because you're going to get so busy once everything starts that now when you're in the slow time of summer to set a plan for yourself and make it realistic.
Yes. Well, and I heard someone say even just praise music and talking to the Lord on your way to your first class is you're setting your day up well. So I love that. Lucy, what was my question? How do you keep your faith alive?
Yes. Something that I really utilized was seeking wise counsel, whether that be older girls that are in college, or for me and Camryn, we had a family that we could go to their house in Auburn. And that was something that was so important and so special. Just in that time when everything is new and everyone who you're walking alongside has never been in your shoes, it can be really important to just find older girls who love Jesus and just get coffee. And it's really that simple. All you have to do is just text them and they'll go. That was kind of my situation. I just reached out to a bunch of people and was able to. That's amazing.
You said 20 or something. That's crazy.
Yes.
Did you feel awkward? I mean, I feel some people would be don't they ask me? But that was really brave of you and smart to say no, I'm just going to approach people. Because I imagine if Ella gets there and emailed one or texted whatever y'all do, snap one of y'all, and said, hey, Lucy or Camryn, can y'all have coffee? You'd be like, absolutely. But it does take initiative on your part.
Yeah.
So what did that look like? You just texted people that you loosely knew and said, can you get together?
Pretty much. If we had a mutual friend, that was like a good way to set it up. But also, I think first month of college, coffee is fair game with like literally anyone. Like you could text anyone and they would go. It's just kind of, I don't know, a rule of thumb.
Yeah.
And what was your goal in doing that?
Just to kind of feel a little more grounded. Yeah. I don't know. It felt like they had kind of had their feet planted for a little bit and were able to speak wisdom into me rather than me like turning to people who also didn't know what they were doing, you know? And so that was something that really was helpful to me. And I was able to find a mentor through that and meet with her once a week. So,
I love it. One thing that astounded me that I was like, I should have had y'all as my friends. But Lucy, you said you tried a bunch of churches, which I think was really, it's like, duh, but do we do that? We often are just like, well, all the people I know go to this church and you just like lob in, which is a good indication it's a good church. But that is amazing. So how did you just showed up or did you ask some of these people to go with you?
Normally I went with someone. So I would find, there's like people going to every church. And so I tried, I think, like 6 different ones before I landed on the church that I now go to. But it's really, again, like first month or 2 of college, just everything is kind of fair game.
Love it.
Like lunch, coffee, church, all of that.
Love it. I need to send y'all I will send you gift cards, but I need to send Ella gift cards that hold her to. These are only to pay for someone's coffee if you go meet with somebody. So I'll put some strings attached to that. Okay, moms, I have something to share with you that I wish I had had when my kids were little. It's called Brave Books. Brave Books is a Christian publishing company creating stories that spark kids' imaginations for good. Now, these aren't your average children's books. They're incredible stories that teach important values like courage, perseverance, and standing up for truth through adventures your children will love. There are recurring characters, good guys versus bad guys, and every book is beautifully illustrated. And the most important thing is that each book includes family conversation starters and games that turn story time into quality time. It's the kind of tool that makes connecting as a family fun and easy, even when life feels crazy and messy. So whether you're in the thick of raising littles or looking for a meaningful gift for grandkids, head on over to bravebooks.com/mess and use the code MESS for 20% off your first purchase. That's bravebooks.com/mess. Code MESS. Trust me, you're going to love them. This is for the overwhelmed mom, the one doing your best, yet some days it's just too much. The noise, the mess, the pressure to do it all. We were even told to hustle harder or maybe just give in to the chaos. But what if there's another way? While struggle is unavoidable, feelings of overwhelm don't have to define our days as a mom. In her new book, Overwhelmed Mom, Jamie Erickson speaks directly to the heart of every tired, try-hard mama caught in the crossfire of pressure and perfectionism. With biblical truth and practical hope, she invites us to claim calm amid all of the chaos, to breathe again, to live a life that displays the gospel in the daily grind. Discover how to trade the burnout hustle for daily rhythms of peace as Jamie helps you declutter your schedule, your soul, and your expectations. Because motherhood isn't meant to be a mess or a performance, it's a calling. So I want you guys to check out Overwhelmed Mom. It's quiet the chaos, mind what matters, and enjoy your life again. It's available now at moodypublishers.com or wherever books are sold. All right. So I know in my life, and y'all have shared too, like you experience God deeper when you're in struggle. I think a lot of times when it's going amazing, we just forget to go back to God and be like, by the way, thank you, Lord, for this win or this thing. But when we're struggling, and I imagine your first year when you're far from your family and everything's new and it's huge. Camryn, can you share like where you found God in moments of struggle for you and maybe a little bit, you don't have to tell all, but a little bit about an area of struggle?
Yeah. I think back to first semester, and it's just a lot of change that you face that first semester. Just everything is very different. And it just feels like everything is kind of changing. Like your new friends, you're living in a new city, a new state. You're not with your family. And it's just so much change. You're starting new classes and it looks very different than what high school looked like. And I think for me, I just like saw the Lord's faithfulness and his consistency, and just knowing that like in the midst of all these changes and all these transitions, the Lord is my constant and he is the only thing that is constant. And so just relying on that and just knowing like, it's okay that everything's different and everything's changing because I know the Lord doesn't change, and just knowing that he is constant no matter what was just something that was super important. And just, seeing his faithfulness and just a lot of like answered prayers that I saw throughout the year. But I think just knowing like the Lord is constant in the midst of a lot of change and transition, especially that first semester.
I love it. So good. Caroline.
Yeah, I totally agree with Camryn. Like all that change, I feel like it's easy to like stray away from like what you know is true. And I think one specific thing that I know I struggled with, and I think that's something that's like not talked about a ton, is like finding like the right friends at the very beginning and being like, you're meeting all these people from your classes and your dorm and sorority, like anything you're getting involved in. And there's all these people and it feels like very overwhelming of like, which friends am I going to continue to keep up with? Or which ones like you kind of feel like whoever you meet then is like going to be your set friends.
Yeah.
And so I think with that, it's easy to kind of just put a pause on the Lord and be like, okay, like I'm focused on this, and like your focus kind of shifts to like, I'm finding all these other relationships whenever it should be Christ that is at the center of all these relationships. So I think that like the biggest takeaway I learned is that even though it seems easy to like rely on God to like fill the gaps of what you're missing in like these relationships, he should be like the center of it. And so
I love it.
You shouldn't be like rushing to like find these friendships, because I know the one thing we talked about with the girls were how friendships are built. So that's something that like you have to like build over time, and it's not something that's just going to happen and just appear immediately. That's like perfect friend group.
Yeah.
So just to remember that things are going to be built and to not rush into it, because.
Well, and I think social media, you look and you're like, oh my gosh, she found her 4 people the first night of midday. And it's like, no, that's a photo. Like some of you is like, and we were talking before we got on here about having to choose where you're going to live sophomore year so early. I'm like, how do you even know? Like it just takes time. And so I'm glad you're saying that, because again, the assumption is I'm the only one, I'm struggling, but Instagram just tells a lie that it looks so pretty and perfect, but behind the scenes is a lot of people kind of finding their way. So I love that. You're saying it's important to look for friends, but that can't be your sole focus or it will wear you out, right? Okay, Lucy, talk to us.
I feel like the biggest lesson that the Lord taught me was through the people that I was surrounded by from the get-go. He taught me really like what it means to be like live set apart but not set above. I feel like specifically Auburn can be a place where a lot of people are set above. You know, the Lord taught me that he calls us to holiness, but he doesn't call us to superiority from others. And he ate with sinners. And so why am I feeling like I'm better? You know, and that was something that I really struggled with first semester, because like it is college and people are going to be making decisions that maybe I'm not making, but that doesn't mean they're inferior. And that doesn't mean that their walk with Jesus is any different than mine.
Yeah.
And so like really choosing to live differently, whether it's like how you speak or what activities you engage in, it's really not about being better. It's about being faithful to God. And that was something that was a hard lesson for me to learn, because first semester, the choices I was making was for me to feel like I was being better.
Wow.
You know, and he really taught me that faithfulness should be marked by humility. And like, it's okay and it's good to live with conviction, but it's also equally as important to carry compassion with your conviction.
Like your friends that threw up the night before to come to you and say, hey, I really am struggling. Like I wanted to go. And like drinking or not drinking is not the mark of holiness, but it is a decision, like you said, that you made. And I think that someone said to me about that, about Grapevine Faith, was like, it's a great school to go to if you're following the rules. It's not a great school to go to if you're not. And I was like, oh, that's so bad. Like it should be the opposite of the church. That we're like, let's be there for each other and let's walk through this. Because even though maybe not an outwardly sin, we all have sin. I mean, I have a lot of sins that it's like the public would be like, oh, Courtney's got it all together. It's like, no, I am prideful and I have a sharp mouth. And like, there's a lot of things that aren't as visible as that. So set apart, not set above. That is massive. I think everybody's like, wait, hold on, write that down. That's so good. Okay. So what do you appreciate about your mom? I think I know when my mom drove away, I was like, wait, I love you. I'm sorry I was mean. So as you think back, even just the last year or even the last 18 years, like what did you specifically appreciate about her or your dad or parents? Just about, you can go anything. You can be the way she hugs you, or you can be about Jesus, whatever you want to do, Camryn.
Yeah. I love this question. I think like going to college, like it like grew my appreciation for my parents a lot because you're like obviously away from them. And so like, I think my time with them was like a time with them was much more intentional, like in the way that I called them or just like, cause I feel like when you're living at home, like, I don't know if I was as appreciative of my parents as I was whenever like I got to college.
Yeah.
But my favorite thing about my mom is probably just like her, I don't even know, like there's so much I could talk about, but just like the way that she loved me really, really well. And she just like always there for me. Like I know like if I called her anytime, like she'd answer and like talk to me and like walk me through it. My mom is very wise and I'm really thankful just for her wisdom. And yeah, just knowing that like just how much she cares for me and like just knowing that like I could always like, even though we're living in different states, she would drop everything and like pick up the phone and talk to me.
Yeah.
Which is just, I'm so thankful. And she just taught me, I think just the way that she loves people is what I model how I love people after. And so just like living with her for 18 years and seeing the way that the friend that she was and like the wife that she was and just like the leader that she was like is like who I model after. And so just taking all of that with me to college and like loving people the same way that my mom loves people. And my dad, both of them. But,
yes. Oh, I can't wait for her to hear this.
Mom, so.
Yes. I can't wait for her to hear this. Cause like, I know your moms and there's not often a chance for you to just sit down and tell them what you appreciate about them. So I'm just excited for her to cry and listen to this. So one thing that a friend of mine told me, and I was going to tell this to Ella, there's like so many things. You're like, and one more thing. And by the way, don't put your drink down, at a bar. We got all these things that you're like, I got to tell one more thing. But one of the things is when you want to walk through a hard season, you have to just go through it and you can't go around it. And so I know a lot of the girls are like, can we just get to bid date? I'm like, no, part of the growth is just walking through it. And I love that you said your mom was able to guide you because at this point it is your decision, but you do want to call home and be like, what do you think about this? Like, how can you walk through things with Jesus and with wisdom is a huge thing because we would love to pick y'all up and just place you at the next point with no struggle, but you won't learn and you won't grow. And so as a parent, I know it's hard to watch. I think that's a lot of my tears right now is anticipating bumps that she's going to have to just walk through. And I'd rather her not struggle. Thank you very much. Yeah. Okay, Caroline, what do you appreciate now looking back about your parents or mom? A lot of moms listen. That's why I said moms.
Yes, for sure. I also agree with the beginning part of Camryn. So it's going to kind of talk on like how whenever you go to college, your like conversations become more intentional. And like, I think that's something that's really sweet because it's like when you're at home, it's like she does all the stuff for you literally all the time that like not goes unnoticed, but it's like it just becomes like routine. But then like when you go to college, it's like suddenly when like that, all of that like back work she was doing isn't there. It's like you realize everything she was doing to make your life better. But one thing that like I really, really love about my mom is how she just does things with such a pure heart and how she does everything purely for the benefit of others. And how like even from when we were little, she just works in the background of everything and like she would do like everything to make like birthdays and Christmases and everything so special. And it's like things that I didn't even see when I was little, but now it's like just things, how she treats others and the way she models Christ to others and like how she really is just like a servant to everyone around her. And I think what's really cool now is like in college, it's like whenever I'm comforting others or talking to others, it's like I hear her voice like in me, which is like something that's like cool. So sweet that it's like the things that I'm saying, I'm like, oh, these are things that she has said to me or instilled in me. And I think that's just something that's just like a sweet touch that like, even though she's not like there with me at college, it's like all these truths that she's just like set in me from whenever I was younger are like still what I'm like using in college now, which is cool. Really sweet.
I think one of the things we've talked about on this podcast is a lot of people want to be their kids' friends. And it's not the greatest parenting approach. And so we've been parenting up to this point and some things you don't like that we've said. But then at that college age, like it really does switch to like more of a friend and a guide and a coach, which is a really sweet season because I don't know, I'm excited about that switch. And we've been building a friendship, but that wasn't the sole purpose of my parenting was to be friends or to be liked. And then one funny thing that Ella said the other day that cracked me up, she goes, we were talking about dry cleaning. How do you know when something needs to be dry cleaned or not? And she goes, literally, I don't even know how it works. It's like you're a fairy. Like she's like, the things that I've worn just show up with a bag on them. And I'm like, okay, let's talk about how those things. But it's like you've been a personal admin to your kids for all these years, but you're like, it was all what we wanted. Like I just wanted to love and serve. And so I love that like eyes wide open is like, and I think for me, I realized that not everybody had stable parents, that not everybody had two parents that were married or in love or that walk with Jesus. And there's a lot of heartache that you start seeing come out of people that were like, well, my mom never said, I love you. And you're like, oh my gosh. So yeah, that appreciation just explodes for sure. So Lucy, tell us about your adorable mom.
Yes.
Love her.
My mom's the best. I could talk about the way she raised me forever and all of her qualities, but I think something that really stuck out to me when I went to college was that she never made me feel like anything that I was feeling was invalid. And she really has a gift. I'm going to cry.
No, it's good.
College, like you can feel 10 different emotions in like the same hour.
Yeah.
Joy, confusion, disappointment, grief, excitement, like all of it. And she never made me feel like feeling any of those was wrong.
Yeah.
And she never tried to influence the way I was feeling.
Yeah.
And that was something that was so precious to me, was that I could call her with anything and she would celebrate my victories and she would mourn my losses. And it was never, let me change this for you. It was, let me, thank you. Thank you.
If I could pass you a tissue, yes. I would.
It was, let me sit with you through this, and talk with you through it. And that was something that is so invaluable.
Yeah.
And she just really taught me the importance of holding joy and sorrow in the same breath.
Wow.
And that was something that was kind of marked my freshman year, was like joy and sorrow can be held together.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I told you this before, but, and I hope you're okay with me sharing the story, but you pledged the same story as me from you. And because I know everyone, there was like a mole in the bidet and they called me and said, I think Lucy's struggling. So then I call your mom and she was the most calm. Mm-hmm. I mean, I am like clearly a hothead. Like I've got to get it together emotionally, but she was like, she's going to be fine. She's going to be fine. And I thought how amazing to be able to handle and not get on the roller coaster with you. I'm sure she was sad. I'm sure she cried, but she was a stable voice. And I was so blown away by that and thought, okay, note to self for Rush, be like, she's going to be fine. It's going to be fine.
Exactly.
Anything that you look back and think that your parents, and we know that God is sovereign. My friend says this, God is sovereign, but your parents are significant. So I know your parents and they all influenced your faith in some way. They didn't make it. You had your own choice. But as you look back over the years, is there something that you're like, I'm so glad they made this choice, or I'm so glad they did this because it did impact my faith?
Yeah. I think just like the way my parents like lived out their faith. You know what I mean? Like my parents, like both of them are like very, very strong in their faith. And like, it was evident, like, it wasn't always like, it just was evident like in the way that they lived their life. Like they were constantly like living out their faith in the way they treat others and in the workplace and in the way that they parented me and my two sisters. And like, it just like was evident that they were following the Lord, not in like an outwardly like loud way, but just like in the way that they just treated people with kindness.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think I took a lot of that. Like each day, like is honestly like a mission field. Like every ordinary day is a mission field. And like, I think just like living out my life in a way that reflects the gospel. And that doesn't always look like sharing scripture with someone. It just looks like treating someone with kindness.
Yeah.
And like, I think that that's like really what I took a lot away from like my parents is just that the way that they like lived out their faith in a way that like, that they follow Jesus because of like, just the choices that they make in the way that they treat others.
Yeah. I agree. So you can't not feel that when you're around your mother. She's like a little missionary in our town. She's so great.
She's
Caroline,
awesome.
how about you?
I would say the best way I would say I see my parents is that they're just like the hands and feet of Christ. And I feel like that's something that really just speaks to like their character and how they raised us is like that, like the way you do things and like the way you express yourself is like should be in a Christ-like manner. And like how they serve others is just cool to see, like even like in little things, like my great grandmother, my meanwhile, she's like, my mom just like serves her so well, and getting to see her care for her and like just really see that she's like serving her. Like it's literally like in it that like service is coming from her like passion about her relationship with the Lord. And like you can really see where her foundation is set, because like that kind of service doesn't come from just our like earthly self. It comes from the Lord. So I think that's something that's really sweet to see. And then I think also like, just like as they're raising us, the like encouragement of like creating your faith as your own thing. And like, one way that I like love leading worship. Like that's one thing, like nobody else in my family is really like musically inclined, I guess, but like the way that they would like encourage me and like they would show up like every single Wednesday and like you would see my dad in the back videoing, like recording. Just
that's so cute.
Things like that where it's just like they really just like went all in like the things that I found passion in my relationship with the Lord. You could see that they like were just like right there with me. And
that's
I think
good.
That's just something really sweet.
Love it. Lucy, how about you?
My parents are very disciplined people, and that is something that I've definitely taken with me as I've kind of transitioned into this next stage of life is their unwavering discipline, whether it be like for the Lord or for our family. Like they just show up every day, and just they've really taught me the importance of showing up, whether it's like showing up for my friends, showing up to church, showing up in general. They do a really good job. They like never failed to be at any of my soccer games or anything that I was doing, and just really taught me the importance of sacrifice for time and sacrifice for people. And they are fiercely loyal to our family. They have just instilled in me this fierce loyalty for other people and for our family. And they've really just given me a lot of independence from high school or even from a young age. I'm the oldest, so that helps. But I really do admire and appreciate the discipline and the independence that they gave me from a young age, because it made my transition to college so much smoother. I know how to operate by myself, but also lean on them.
Yeah, so good. As y'all are talking, I want all the moms listening as we get on this podcast and we want to say the right thing. We want to be like give these sermons and we want to like have a devotional that just lands. But I'm like, what y'all are saying is they modeled it. And like, it's so much more. You're remembering what they did as people that love Jesus more than anything they said. And so I think that takes the pressure off our shoulders in some way. And it's like, we don't have to say it perfectly. We don't have to like, and I mean, we do want to be engaged, but I just think that's so encouraging to us. It's like, hey, prioritize that. Prioritize your relationship with the Lord and live it out, whether you're disciplined with your reading the word, whether you're just living it out hands and feet. And that y'all noticed it, which is just so cool. It's so cool. It's a dream. I think people listening to this, I was at Brandon Lake and Phil Wickham concert the other day, and I took about 9 of Larson's friends and 5 of Ella's friends, and they were all just hands up worshiping. And a lady was sitting next to me, and she leaned over and like teary. I was like, "How do I do this? Like, how do I have kids?" And I was like, "I can't take credit for it." I'm like, "It's Jesus truly in them." Like those girls have a legit faith, but she's like, "My girls are 1, 4, and 7, and like, this is the goal." And so I said, y'all aren't perfect, but y'all have an authentic faith, which is the goal of our school, which is the goal of your parents. It's really something to celebrate. So keep up the good work. And if you mess up, you can come back to my house and you could come back on the podcast and to share all about your mistakes if you want. So thank you. Part 2, sophomore year. The wheels fell off, folks. I'm just kidding. All right, let me pray for y'all in your year. And I'm just so thankful that you not only came to my home and really impacted the girls there, but thousands of people will be able to hear you from this. So thank you. Lord, I just thank you for Camryn, for Lucy, for Caroline, and the leaders that they are. And just, God, that you're using their imperfect lives and their genuine hearts to know and follow you, to impact the people around them at their schools, and my own children look up to them. And so I just pray that you'll just bless their lives this year, that you will continue to just speak to them and use them and humble them if you have to, but just really personally speak to them and just continue to expand their territory for you. I pray that just mentors would surround them, that loving families would surround them, and that, again, you would just use them. I thank you for their lives. I thank you for how they love you, and just use this episode, Lord, to speak to a lot of college kids that are struggling to find people like them. And we just love you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Thanks, girls. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Pardon the Mess. As always, we've got more encouragement and resources over at christianparenting.org. And you can also stay connected with us on social media at Pardon the Mess. And if you like this episode, I'd love for you to do 2 things. Press follow on whatever podcast platform you love, and also be sure to leave a rating so other parents can find us. Remember, you're never alone in this beautiful mess of parenting.
Shopify is a global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business. and sell more with less effort thanks to the Shopify magic. Your AI-powered all-star. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/redcircle, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/redcircle now to grow your business, no matter what stage you're in. Shopify.com/redcircle.